Welcome to FCP Conversations Online, featuring Bucks County nonprofit leaders. Join our discussion with community organizations that share our mission and are making a difference in the lives of our neighbors.
Hello, I'm Ron Bernstein, the Executive Director of Foundations Community Partnership. Welcome to FCP Conversations Online, and thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Alan Hartl, the CEO of Lenape Valley Foundation, located here in Doylestown. Alan, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
For people who don't know a little bit about the history of Lenape Valley Foundation, when did it get started?
We started in 1958, really by a group of community leaders that was looking to provide mental health services in the local community as opposed to having people basically be admitted to state hospitals, which was the standard at that time. We incorporated as the Mental Health Guidance Center of Bucks County, very small, one-room office, grew quickly and we were renamed the Bucks County Psychiatric Center in 1961. We stayed that way until 1973 when we renamed Lenape Valley Foundation in response to some state laws about mandating counties to provide certain services to their residents regardless of their ability to pay. We actually had to downsize at that point. We broke into two pieces. Lenape Valley Foundation was the original piece. The piece that broke off became the Pendel Mental Health Center.
Okay. And when did you take the location or create the location on the grounds of the Doylestown Hospital campus?
Yeah, we had existing relationship with Doylestown Hospital, providing crisis services for them since about 1975. Following that relationship, we started looking, we needed a place to grow. And the hospital had this campus. We already had the working relationship with them. So they agreed to lease land to us, so we could have our headquarters there. We opened in 1987 on that site.
And then I know recently you've expanded on that site.
Yeah, we doubled the size of the building and opened that in 2004, 2005, because we had grown to a point where many of our programs had to be scattered just because of space issues. And for economy of size and coordination of services, it really worked better if we could be together. So we expanded and brought everyone back in 2005. We've expanded now where we've had to start moving departments back out into other locations again.
Well, what do you see as the core mission at Lenape?
Well, really, the core is still where we started. I think our sweet spot is probably working with people with the most serious mental health issues, most serious intellectual disabilities, young children with the most serious developmental and delays and disabilities.
And I know you provide crisis services throughout the county, both at the lower end of the county and here based out of Doylestown Hospital. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we really provide about 90% of all crisis services in Bucks County, behavioral health crisis services, meaning mental health and substance use. And we really have three locations, one and on the Doylestown Hospital campus, but we're also on the campus of Lower Bucks Hospital and St. Mary Medical Center. So those are telephone walk-in sites where people can come in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In addition to those crisis services, we also have a mobile crisis service. So if somebody can't get to us for whatever reason, we have the option of sending our team out to their home or wherever the situation is. Sometimes it's, we've been called, for instance, to tend to someone who's come into a legislator's office who's clearly having mental health problems. So we can take the service to people if necessary.
When you track your crisis services, does it tend to skew towards children and adolescents or adults, or what's the breakdown?
Yeah, we see both. We see about 625 people a month collectively in our crisis services. Of those, up to a third can be children. Certainly when you add in transitional age youth, that percent certainly is higher.
And what would you say the trends are that you're seeing both in terms of the children and adolescents and then the adults.
Yeah, it's distressing, really, because the trends we're seeing, and there's various reasons why, but the severity of the problems that people are coming in are greater than ever. One of the things I was looking at the other day is just the number of child abuse reports that we have to make as mandated reporters, and just in the last year, we've had to file 11% more child abuse reports than we did the year before. So, and that, of course, means there's turmoil in the home. It's not just a problem with the child, obviously, the parents and any other children or occupants of the home. And then we have the opioid crisis and all the things that go along with that. People, users certainly, but also the family members who are scared silly because of concern that they're going to lose a loved one. And we also have the impact of deinstitutionalization and on the mental health side with the closures of state hospitals, and what we do see there is that we haven't cured mental health. It's just the location has changed. It's now a community-based issue that we need to deal with. We can't hide it away in hospitals somewhere.
So clearly the amount of crisis services that you provide began creating the new direction that you're taking, which is the building of probably the first residential crisis center on the grounds of a hospital here in Bucks County. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's right. It's the Lodge at Lenape Valley Foundation, and it's a crisis residential program. We will be seeing 12 residents at a time for stays of about 5 to 10 days. The target population is probably the person who's feeling suicidal and really at a loss of how they're going to manage that. Currently, that person either after they see our crisis service either is going to go home and there's risk associated with that, or they're going to go into an inpatient hospital setting, which has a variety of things associated with it that we would like to get away from.
I think there's probably some pluses and minuses.
There are, and then there's a place for inpatient psychiatric facilities, but in the continuum, we need a place that's not locked. That's really based in the conception of community treatment, and that a person, family, children can come in and feel comfortable when they're there. That they'll feel comfortable having come into that and be willing maybe to seek crisis services earlier because they won't have the fear that it necessarily means inpatient hospitalization. The evidence is that people who are placed in a crisis residential as opposed to an inpatient setting talk about it being less isolating, less interrupting and daily activities, less traumatizing. And the outcome measures, including things like recidivism, suicide, all are at least as good as inpatient settings.
Well, and so do you anticipate people who show up in Doylestown at your crisis center, if they need that level of care, you'll transfer them down to the Lower Bucks facility?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the only service in such service in Bucks County. We expect that people will be admitted from all over the county. We see people in our crisis service now from Upper Bucks to Lower Bucks.
Okay.
And those people we see, we know that about 50% of them probably fall into this target population. If we were to have just about half of them enter into that crisis residential program, it'll be full.
Well, as you said, this will be the first one of its kind here in Bucks. And, you're very involved with things in Harrisburg and kind of know what's going on in the state. Has this been tried in other places?
Yes, it
here
has.
In Pennsylvania?
Yes, it has. In fact, every county that touches Bucks County, east, west, south, not east, I guess west, south, north, and west in Pennsylvania has a similar program and has had it for years. Bucks County has had difficulty developing one because of just funding limitations, frankly. But we've figured out a way to set those aside and move ahead. But we Our crisis service, in fact, has tried to admit people to these other services in the surrounding counties. We can't get a Bucks County resident into those facilities because, of course, they're serving the residents of those counties.
Well, I know that you broke ground this summer. So what is your thinking about when you hope to open the doors?
From July 2018, I think we're going to have this really valuable addition to our array of crisis services.
Well, I think that's great, Alan. Give me a feel for how you at Lenape think about measuring the impact that Lenape Valley has on our community. When you think about all the different programs and services you provide, from seniors to children, what is your thought about what kind of an impact you're having?
Well, I think we have a profound impact, Ron. The fiscal year that just ended, we saw 11,319 unduplicated clients. Every one of those 11,319 clients have a family or a loved one or a neighbor or a caregiver or somebody associated with them. So we're touching lots of lives in the county. I can't tell you, we measure it in other ways too, more quantifiable means as best we can. But, the anecdotes, the stories that I pick up from people that I encounter in the community who come up to me after a meeting or I give a talk or something like that, and they pull me aside and tell me about having accessed our service for themselves or a loved one and hear what the outcomes are. I mean, that's what makes my job great.
Right. Well, if people in the community want to get involved by either volunteering or feel moved to donate, how do they do that?
They can go to our website, www.lenapevf.org, and check us out there. There's, if they're interested in contributing, and that's always, we're grateful for that. We give away about $400,000 of charitable care a year. So there's that website will direct them how to do that. It also has all the phone numbers they need as to where to call, where to go. It's really a very convenient way to get in touch with us.
Great. Well, Alan, like you, I drive around the county a lot, and I'm always looking for a great spot for lunch. You got any recommendations for me?
Yeah, the place I like to go is Il Melagrano, right in Doylestown here, in a little shopping center in town here.
What's their specialty?
Well, I don't know what their specialty is, but if they have specials or there's a menu item that has salmon in it, get it.
Okay, sounds great. Well, Alan, thank you. Thanks for the great work you guys are doing here in our Bucks County community, for joining me today to share your experience and knowledge leading Lenape Valley Foundation. And thank you to our listeners for your involvement in our community. Visit our Facebook page and like us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Join the conversation.
Foundation's community partnership believes that when we join forces, we're stronger. We are better able to support the behavioral health and human service needs of children and young adults in Bucks County. Join us again for FCP Conversations Online. Let's go farther together.